Hey there folks, Kyle Dawson here. I want to take a moment of your time to share some interesting information with you regarding the Credit Card Act of 2009. Now, for those of you that are unaware, there's some very significant changes coming down the pike here in the new year, some of which include the ban of unfair rate increases. Have you ever opened up your credit card bill, you thought you had signed an agreement that said you were going to get 10%, and you look at the rate and you see it's 30%? So you call them up and you say, hey, Mr. Credit Card Company, what's going on? And they say, well, Mr. Dawson, we just decided we like 30% better than 10%. And guess what? You can't do anything about it. Well, they're ending that practice. Hallelujah, Congress. Good change in effect. Now, additionally, they won't be able to jack up the interest rate on existing balances. So while they may be able to raise the rate slightly on some of the unused credit that you have, the existing balance rate will be frozen. Again, a very positive change. Additionally, it's going to put an end to the practice of unfair billing cycles. Have you ever gotten your bill in the mail? You open it up, you take a look, you say, wait a minute, I've only got like 3 or 4 days to make this payment. How can that be? Was the mail really just slow this month? No, I don't think so. Believe it or not, these credit card companies were doing it on purpose. That's right. Why? Well, obviously, hoping that you would not make your payment in time, they could charge you some ridiculous late fee and have a good excuse for jacking up your interest rate. The other change that's happening is an opt-out option on over-limit fees. So if you've ever used your card unknowingly that you were at or about your limit and then you went over the limit and you get the bill in the mail and you see they jacked up your interest rate, they charged you a huge over-the-limit penalty, and it also has a negative impact on your credit score. Well, you would think that if you were over your limit, they would just deny the charge, but they don't, because then they wouldn't be able to make all that additional money. Well, now under the provision of the new law, you would have an opportunity to either make that charge and accept an over-the-limit fee or just decide not to buy that purchase. Well, I think that's a very good change. So why am I talking to you right now and sharing all this wonderful information with you? Well, here's why. This law was due to go into effect on February 22nd of 2010. Congress is now looking at moving that date up to December 1st. Well, why would they do that? Well, according to CNNmoney.com, the credit card companies haven't been using the downtime to prepare for their new practices. No, they've been using it to squeeze as much money out of the cardholders as possible by raising APRs, lowering credit limits, and changing account terms, and all just in time for Christmas. Well, ho, ho, ho. What can we do about it? Well, one of the provisions of the new law that went into effect in August of this year requires the credit card companies to give you a 45-day written notice to opt out of the new terms. So in other words, they want to change your terms, raise your rate, to require you a higher minimum payment. You could say, thanks but no thanks. However, what can happen here, the negative downside of this? Well, they'll freeze your account, obviously. You won't be able to make any new purchases with it. Under the terms of the new law, they require you to make the payoff of this balance within 5 years. Well, if you're making the minimum payment on the card right now, you may have 30 years to pay that credit card off. Well, now you have to pay it off in 5 years, so that may raise the minimum payment due. So what can you do about it? Well, obviously, if you had the money, you just pay the credit card off, right? But many of you may not have that option. So what I'd recommend that you do is leave the account open, continue to make the minimum payment. The new laws are going to go into effect here next year, will allow you some time to shop, hopefully for a much better interest rate, and then simply do a balance transfer. Now, one additional recommendation: do not pay off the old, or do not close the account with the old card. And the reason being is that the more length of time you have established with an individual creditor, the better it reflects on your credit scores. Conversely, the lower amount of time, the worse it reflects on your scores. So for people that would oftentimes take and pay off one account with another, doing balance transfers and then close the account and on, what they may not have realized is it was really negatively impacting their credit score. So unless the credit card company is charging some exorbitant annual fee, just pay the account off and leave it open. All right, well, that's my advice. Feel free to contact me anytime if you want to discuss this further. If you found this information useful today, I hope you'll share it with your friends, family, and coworkers. And oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. Have a great day. Thanks a lot.